Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Get Wider Summit participants, friends, colleagues, partners. It's time now for the Fireside Chat with Her Royal Highness, Princess Lamia Bint Majed AlSaud. Good evening.
Doctor, and thank you very much for the invitation. And I would like to say good afternoon for everyone who's logging in, and thank you. And it's very exciting, and I'm looking forward to have this chit chat with you.
Thank you so much. So before we start, I'd like to introduce Her Royal Highness to everyone. And I will not be able to say exactly everything she did because they were many pages. So I will just highlight some of her things. And we all know her achievements and her impact on society. Her Royal Highness Princess Lamia Bint Majed Saud AlSaud is the Secretary General and a member of the Board of Trustees of At-Walid Philanthropies. In her role as the Secretary General, Princess Lamia has been recognized internationally through several landmark awards. I will only mention few, receiving an honorary medal from the Vice President of Laos in recognition of her philanthropic efforts in the country. In addition, the Achievement in Philanthropies Award at the Arab Women of the Year 2017. The Changemaker Award at the Aid and Trade Conference, the National Council's first ever Philanthropic Leadership Award. You make us very proud. And also the Women Leader in Community Development Excellence Award by the Middle East Excellence Award Institute. The Baden-Powell Fellowship, pinned by the World Scout Foundation, and the People First Leader Award at the GCC Government HR Awards 2020. Again, this is only a little bit of the awards and recognition that Her Royal Highness has achieved and got from all over the world. Her Royal Highness Princess Lamia also holds a number of roles and leading positions on a global level, including the Honorary Advisory Board member at the 8th Annual GCC Government HR Summit 2020, the UN Habitat Regional Goodwill Ambassador for Arab States, the Global Champion for Gender Equality, which is very dear to my heart, the Global Champion for Gender Equality with the UN Women, and member of the Generation Unlimited Champion Committee with UNICEF. We are so honored to have you with us. As you know, and as some of the participants, but not all of them know, this is the Get Wider Summit. It's our WISE annual summit that we hold every year. This is our third year. And WISE is Women Initiative for Social Entrepreneurship. It is a global initiative that was founded by the South. So it stems from the South, but it is a global initiative. And it really focuses on redefining success from a social entrepreneurship lens and a women's lens. We all know that the mainstream has defined success in one way, which is important and good, but sometimes by doing this, we ignore or we don't recognize the impact that women social entrepreneurs and women-led organizations do all over the world. So in WISE, Your Excellency, we have established the scale up, scale deep, and scale out. We change the way, the definitions of how we define success, because we know and we work on the ground and we have thousands and thousands of social entrepreneurs that we work with. So the scaling up is when you change laws. You know, if there is a law that is not that is not just or that is prejudiced against any vulnerable group, when you change that law as a woman social entrepreneur, you affect the group now, but also forever. And you know, when you measure it 10 years later, you discover that, for example, 40 million kids were able to go to school because this law was changed, or 17 million kids were able to get the nationality of their mother because one law was changed. So the scaling up is very important, especially that women social entrepreneurs are cause driven. We usually look at causes that affect vulnerable groups. So this is the scaling up according to WISE. Then the scaling deep is really framework change, changing mindsets, behavior, bad traditions or misinterpreted traditions. And really, scaling deep also is difficult to measure sometimes, unless you're keen and you know it. But it is very important because, again, when you change people's mindsets, it affects their children, generation, and then their grandchildren. And so it has a long-term impact. And then the scaling out, which we know, which is replication and reaching more people and going outside, it's numbers, and it is important. So, and we have the storytelling initiative in Ashoka. We have Ashoka and the Wise movement at the Wise website. We show you with stories in the storytelling initiative how women social entrepreneurs were able to scale up deep and out and really reach millions of people. So I'm just saying this introduction because based on that and based on that I know for sure that you and His Royal Highness Prince Walid and the Walid Philanthropies, that you are so keen on women empowerment, that today the questions and the discussion we will have is really personal and professional. As a woman leader, as a role model in the Arab world, but also in the world, your story is very important for us. We believe that women overcome challenges. We never say, of course, we all find it. And we all have challenges that we face, but every successful woman, every woman in the 3 days of the Get Wiser, in spite of every challenge they face, they overcome it. So our first question really, as a leader, global and local and regional, and very important to us, can you share with us in your trajectory as an Arab woman, as an international leader, what type of challenges you might have faced and how you overcame them?
First of all, thank you very much for the brief you give, Dr. Iman. I believe in the Arab world, there's a lot of challenges and it differs from a country to another. Here I would talk, we're very optimistic in Saudi Arabia because as everyone sees the enormous change and the enormous support and development in women from different angles. So for example, now in the workforce, which is very important, I believe empowerment from economical empowerment, it is the core in developing a woman, scaling up woman. This is very important. So in Saudi Arabia, the participation of women in the workforce, it's now 33.8%. So it got up from 3 or 4 years, 22% up. From a perspective of education, which I want to highlight something about education. So education, 57% from university graduate are women, and that shows you how much they're very serious about their career, about targeting, reaching their target goals, and it reflects a lot of things. Yet challenges, I would say we're still not yet there in the self-confidence. I think women in the Arab world still have this perspective, which is not wrong. It's not wrong. Have this perspective that she have to be depending on the man in certain things. Again, it's not wrong. There is some ladies, this is what they prefer, and I respect. And there is some ladies, no, they can do everything by themselves. At the end of the day, in our part of the world, or the Arab world, I think the challenge is there. It's a mindset, as you said. I believe we wasn't raised to have our full potential, and we believe in our full potential. Yet, being a mother is the most important job, and you cannot quit it anytime, even if you want to. You will be a mother, and that's it. And I think it's the most precious job and feeling ever. So I believe from woman perspective, as you said, I think women, when they want anything, they can reach it and they can do it. But we need to be very smart on the way how to reach there, who we seek for knowledge. We need to be patient in a way or another, because as you said, there's a lot of laws that can change life of millions. We need to be more accepting for the others and for the other opinion, and understand and actually listen more than we talk, so we can provide the right solution for each and every challenge that we're facing.
I totally agree. I mean, I think sometimes people confuse that we want to have our choices, that we want one choice and not the other. I think the issue, as you just said now, it's the freedom of choice. If you want to be, to not work outside the house, that's your choice. But if you want to work out inside the house, it's a choice. being a mother is really hard work. I mean,
Yes.
and being a homemaker and supporting your family is really tough. I actually find working outside the home easier. I mean, I do both. I totally agree. And I think this perspective is very important because we have to say that we are always with the freedom of choice, and women have an impact anywhere they do it. As you said, they can do whatever they want to, and we need time. And by the way, I'm sure you know from all the social media how the Egyptians are so proud of what's happening in Saudi Arabia, and we are really proud, and you are already becoming role models.
I think
Given this,
there,
اتفضلي.
there is also something that we have to highlight, that if a mother, she's a good mother, of course everyone here and online knows that the 7 years of the children, it's the most crucial years for women or for the mother to be there for their kids, because they're literally building up their perspective, their beliefs, and their do's and don'ts. So if you're there for the first 7 years, like a good mother, like being there for your children, if you can afford it. Again, I'm not talking in general, I'm talking about ladies who can afford it. Then it's better for you to be beside your kids, because this will cut short a lot of things that philanthropies are doing, mental health institutions are doing. There's a lot of things that will be, I would say, decreased in a way or another if the mother is a good mother in this 7 years. Again, every woman who can afford staying with their kids in this period.
I totally agree. Again, as long as it's a freedom of choice and they can afford it, yes, I think women should choose whatever their destiny is, of course, in collaboration with their family. I mean, it's not, but it has to be a freedom of choice, not forced to do this or the other. Talking about Saudi Arabia and Allahu Akbar, the progress we are watching, um, you know, um, we talked together in Cairo, if you remember, and we talked about redefining success and showing that women can and do have an impact. And then you kindly mentioned that day when we talked in Egypt, how His Royal Highness Prince Al Walid and Al Walid Philanthropies itself work to empower women. You even mentioned the case of the first Arab female pilot. I don't forget anything. Could you please share with us with examples? I mean, what is wonderful about the Walid Philanthropies is that it's a global organization. So again, it is Arab, it's based here, but it works everywhere in the world. And so can you share with us some examples of the projects or initiatives that you and Al Walid Philanthropies and, with, of course, the support of His Excellency, His Highness, have really worked to empower women, and where? A couple of examples.
طبعا I believe that we're very blessed and we're very lucky to work with such a personality like His Royal Highness Prince Al Walid bin Talal. He's the chairman of the foundation. I'll just give a quick brief. So the foundation is working from almost 40 years. We work in over 180 countries. While we're talking now, there's over 60 projects on ground with almost 85 partners around the world. We reached last year 1.2 billion beneficiaries around the world. All what I'm talking about, it's led by 10 Saudi ladies only. That reflects by itself the perspective and the vision of His Highness. His Highness is I believe he's the biggest believer in women capability that I have ever seen in my life. He is trusting us with a lot of things, with our decisions, where we're going. What he give us is the vision, or what he want to concentrate in regards of projects. So, for example, we have 4 areas of focus, which is community development, goes under the health education infrastructure. We have the women and youth empowerment. We have the providing vital disaster relief in time of crisis, and bridging gap between Islam and West, which is a very interesting area of focus. But every year he just tell us, you know what, I want you to concentrate on these 2, for example, area of focus. Yet, since, as you said, since the 90s, the first woman pilot who literally flew with his plane on top of Riyadh, it was a woman. He actually supported each and every, I would say, like 70% of the main job titles. It was supported by him back then, and the continuity of it, or I would say the celebration was from, of course, His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the young, amazing leader that we have, who really did the impossible in a very short time that no one believed it. I think women in Saudi Arabia, and this is something I keep repeating in all my interviews, I totally agree with the new generation, with what they're achieving. But honestly, when you look now to the female stage in Saudi Arabia, whether Princess Rima bint Bandar, Rania Nashar, Sarah Sahimi, myself, Shahal Shmemri, all of us we're not in our 20s. What does that reflect? I'm in my 40s, so what does that reflect? It reflects that the mothers were strong personalities who made us believe in ourselves, who raise us up on a manner that you have to pave the way for yourself. You don't wait for anyone. You have a target, you're going to do it, and you're going to do it even لو حتى after 100 years. So having the support of a man, I think it's very important. Us, we were very lucky, as I said, to have His Royal Highness Prince Al Walid to chair our foundation and to believe in us. And all the development and all the success for women in Saudi Arabia, it was bardo. In the same meantime, it was upon the approval and the support of His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman طبعا, and His Majesty King Salman. So it's a partnership. We're here to partner up in this world, not to fight, not to say who's better than who. I think I have a role as a woman. I think a man have a role as a man. And I think we need to understand this. It's not a competition. Each one of us have something that you have to deliver. Each one of us have a message and a goal that you have to achieve in the world. So it's a partnership.
I totally agree. And I think it's very important. I always say we want a healthy family. And in order for the family to be healthy, you have to have the two main pillars of the family, the father and the mother, respect each other and treat each other with respect. So I agree totally. It's not a fight. We cannot have a healthy family, which is the main social unit of any society, if one of them is being, mean or not, or they are not on equal standards in a way of respect and love. I know this is not the question, but I have to ask it. I mean, I from the video that I saw, but also you mentioned it here. In Ashoka, we believe that we want a world where everyone is a change maker. And we believe that you cannot be a change maker or a social entrepreneur or a successful leader unless you had change-making parents. And again, as you said, the person who really stays with us the first 6 to 7 years and makes us is usually our mother. So I really can I ask you this question? Because I believe that your mother was a change-making mother. She was a change-making parent, and she was the one why you are successful now. Can you share with the mothers that are listening to us so that they can do the same to their children? Just your story. I know I didn't ask it, I had.
My mother, of course, she's Egyptian. That's why Dr. Ayman, she's insisting. Yeah, so my mother, she's Egyptian. She believed in herself a lot till now. She's a true believer in herself and her capability for being a mother. She was married while she was 17. She actually took the permission of my father that she would continue her education. He said, okay, but after getting married, of course, that's it, and it's done. She's at home. Yet my father passed away. She was 27 years old. And she continued her studies. So she redo the high school, اللي هي الثانوية العامة, I would say. And then she entered the university and she finished from جامعة القاهرة. And she took me with her in the first day she attended the university. And for me, it was like a shock, really a shock. And what are you doing here? You're a mother and I'm your daughter. And I was like I think I was in 9th grade. And she was like, no, you have to achieve what you want, even though if it's after 1 year. If you have a goal, then you have to do it as long as you believe in yourself. And she kept pushing me. For example, I studied mass communication and journalism, and I had this dream that I have my own publication, and I start writing. And to put a name of HRH and a princess on a magazine back then, which I'm talking about 2002 and 2003, it wasn't that easy for us here in Saudi Arabia. And you know what, as usual, I'm a person who really work under challenge. You have to challenge me to get the best out of me. So I put my name. It wasn't easy. And then I met with His Royal Highness Prince Walid, and he wanted me to get out the Rotana magazine. I went to mom and I told her, you know what, I'm afraid this will be very hard. It's a weekly magazine, and it's all, you know, artists, singers, and I was quite young back then. And she told me, you know what, you do it. I said, Mom, what do you mean do it? I have my magazine, I have my work, and it's in a lifetime, you always have one opportunity that will open a huge and amazing doors for you. So just go ahead. And that's what happened. That was my introduction to His Royal Highness Prince Walid. I worked with him like for 3 to 4 years, and then I resigned because I had my daughters. And that's what I did. I literally dedicated all my time just for my daughters. And then I started working with him again in the philanthropy. So my mom, she was my solid rock. She was my one and only motivator, to be very honest. Everyone else kept, you know, telling me, no, you shouldn't do this. You're going to be under a lot of pressure. Why you want to do this to yourself? And you know what? It pays off at the end of the day. So for all mothers here, just believe in your kids. Please believe in your kids. Do not underestimate any idea they want to, just, even though if it's stupid, believe me, for them to feel that you're hearing them and you want to support them in whatever they want, it's a blessing.
Thank you so much. I mean, you know, you are really embodying the vision of Ashoka. Your mother in our language is a change-making mother. A mother who believed in you, who trusted you, who made you reach the sky, who told you have confidence to try things. And alhamdulillah, she is your rock and she is your role model, but also she created a role model for us because she was a change-making parent. And I really think, and I agree with you, and with also our founder, Bill Drayton, that we are at a time we have to do with this with our children. All mothers must encourage, as you said, our children to dream and not to be, not to think only of numbers, but also to give them opportunities and to allow them to think out of the box. So, you know, and really, she pushed you to do the things that really were a little bit scary, but so, you know, salute and really good, yani, mashallah, we have a lot of respect for her. One thing also I think is also very important. Again, we as Arab women, we want also to inspire and to encourage not only our kids as mothers, but also young girls in the Arab world. Thank God that there are things that are changing in countries like Saudi Arabia. But at the same time, of course, on the grassroots in particular, in certain areas, you know, young girls sometimes are afraid. What advice would you give to young women everywhere, not only in Saudi Arabia, every country in the Arab world, now especially that the world is changing, and you know that we are no longer just employees in the factories. The world is changing for everybody. What type of advice, again, from your experience and your journey, would you give to young girls in the Arab world?
If you allow me, Doctor, I would give two advices, one for the new generation and one for us, okay. Our generation. I think we need to have trust. Before, if you remember your mother and my mother, they used to say, you know what, your generation, haram, we hope you have what we had. And it's not true. Each and every generation got its own good and bad, positive and negative. At the end of the day, I think we need to have patience with our kids. We need to give them the space. We don't underestimate any of their ideas. We need to tone down the level of anxiety with them. Like, don't do this, don't do that, don't say this, don't say that. No, just let them. Nowadays, in my days, my mom can control the amount of information that's reaching me. Was it whether in TV, reading, press, mingling with people, but now you cannot control whatever type of information that your kids are, digesting at the end of the day, whether from school. It's only a small mobile, and she's connected to the world. So, we need to believe in them more. We need to have a solid foundation, which is, to give them the overview of al-adat wa taqalid, the religion and everything, have a solid foundation, and just be with them. Be a 80% best friend and 20% a mother, because this is what they need. And for the new generation, I would tell them, do not underestimate our experience. And we would love to learn from you. And you should, leverage out of our expertise, which, believe it or not, it will not benefit them a lot, because our techniques is completely different than theirs. Our life are completely different than theirs. But at the end of the day, we can benefit you in a way or another on communicating and knowledge in a way or another. But we need to have this space that we give to our children, and them to be more closer to us. So this is my advice.
I love it. I mean, usually people will focus on the young people. I love that you focused on the more mature generation, I call it mature generation, because I think it's very important, and it's not easy. But I think this is wonderful. Thank you so much. Going from the women and personal a little bit back again to your role in the Walid Philanthropies and the organization. Now, I have seen a lot of what you're doing. I have attended the sessions. I read a lot about what the Walid Philanthropies are doing. So you are a major player. I mean, big player. Again, I would really like to emphasize not only in the Arab world, but globally, and especially in the South, but everywhere. And I think in this summit, but also in the WISE movement, what we are trying to do is for the investors, the donors, the enablers, the partners to come and understand that women-led organizations do have an impact. Women do have an impact as social entrepreneurs, but yet we need to change the way the way they judge again. It's not only how many people we have reached, but how many people we have impacted. Now, again, what do you envision you can help this movement with? And again, helping on the level of thinking. We're talking about the role of you guys, the Walid Philanthropy Organization, and you as leaders to change the mindset of the ecosystem of donors about women-led organizations.
I, as you said, I totally agree with you, Dr. Iman. It's about the impact that we're creating. Again, when we talk about gender equality, I don't think there is a differentiation. I will talk from a philanthropic perspective. I believe that a woman-led entity working on the philanthropic, from a philanthropic perspective, it's much more trusted than a man. And this is, by the way, it's upon research. From a philanthropic perspective, because women by nature, they're more into how to cater and to nourish. So women are more applicable to this position than men. Yet, I'll tell you one thing, from perspective of what we're doing around the world, we believe, I think empowerment, it's a very used word. I prefer enabling. Which is enable a person. It's a matter of studying the circumstances about this person. So at Al-Walid Philanthropy, maybe we would differentiate us that we don't have something called one, and I think you noticed that working with my team. We don't do a one size fits all. No, we like to understand. We like to understand the community. We like to understand the gap. We like to understand the dreams where people want, yet we have this, I would say, criteria that we always prefer to have 70% of our project that in support of women and 30% in support of men. This is always our methodology. At the end of the day, traditions and the perspective about women, it's not only in the Arab world, Doctor, and I'll give you a very small example. In the parliament in the UK and in the US in the Senate, I believe they're still fighting on the equal pace in Saudi Arabia. If I prove that a man, both of us are going and we've been interviewed for the same job, if I proved he's staying 1 riyal more than me, I can sue the ministry. If it's a governmental, so there is a lot of things in different parts of the world. It differs. So there is a lot of freedom. With all my respect, I don't want it in our countries. And there is a type of freedom. It differs from a tradition. So whenever I say I'm free in Saudi Arabia, it doesn't even come close of the meaning of freedom in US. No, it's not a right or wrong thing. I think it's a perspective and beliefs and traditions. So at the end of the day, I believe there's a lot of challenges or that we put in consideration to move along with our project. I'll just give 2 examples about the project. So when His Majesty King Salman confirm or give an okay for the women to drive, which is a very old news, I believe, but 48 hours after it, we launched an initiative with Kareem, and we provided ladies with cars, and we give them the training, get their driver license out just to increase their income. Until now, I think we have over the 80 captains, female captains in Kareem. So this is something because they have a job in the morning, they want to increase, and also our financial or our economical circumstances in Saudi Arabia is completely different. We start having taxes in the country. So just, in a way or another, عشان يعوضوا, or to overcome these challenges, we don't want her to leave her job, but we want an extra income. So in a way or another, we study what's the need, how we can fulfill it, and we proceed with our project in a way or another.
I think it was in the 80s, I will not say when I was in Georgetown University, and I actually met a Saudi young man whose mother was one of the women then that was driving, remember? In the 80s. But I was 5 years old in the 80s.
Yes, of course, I remember.
Before we come, we're nearing the end, but I also always, with all your experience and all the projects that you supervise, I always think that it's nice to remember 1 or 2, moments when you were visiting a project or you finished a project that you felt sakina, you felt, oh, thank God I did this, or it made you happy, Actually, in the Arabic word, it's really sakina, like you're peace with yourself. Can you give me 1 or 2 examples of when you really went there and said, alhamdulillah, I did the right thing, in a project? You went and visited the project and you were so happy about it.
I don't want to go in there لأني حبكي. I'm gonna cry when I don't want to cry بصراحة. But I'll tell you one thing and then I'll give you the example. Working in philanthropy, you think that you're helping others, but it's not true. You're helping yourself. You're totally helping yourself. For me, I'm a completely a different person than before I joined this foundation in 2014. I'm a completely different person since then. It made me another person, I would say, how I appreciate things, how I evaluate things, how I deal with people. I'm a completely different person. There's a lot of projects that's affected me or خلتني أقول, as you said, thanks God that I'm in this position, which I'm grateful, because can you imagine the power that, يعني الحمد لله ربي ثم الأمير الوليد, that you have in your hand, that you can help millions of people with only 1 signature. It's not an easy task, believe me. It kills me sometimes because it's a struggle. What do I do and what do I prioritize and what's not? Of course, there is a lot of consultancy and there's a lot of numbers and studies and indicators and everything. But at the end of the day, it's a decision to present it to His Highness, for him to tell me, okay, I have to present 3-4 projects and I have to choose from, like, you can imagine how much. But the only thing that really affects me, I was in Laos, I was checking on one of the projects, was the rubella and measles. We're the seed funders of eliminating measles and rubella around the world. And I went there because the case of Laos, it was very interesting. It's a very small country, 6 million population, have 250 mountains, rainy season 6 months a year, and they have 48 languages. So it was very interesting for me to know how they create awareness about any pandemic or any disease, and how they're getting the vaccination on top of the mountain. So I went there just to check. It was very interesting and intriguing for me. So I went there. I was accompanied by the Minister of Health, and I chose only 4 mountains from the 250. And we went there, and they showed me all how they, they keep it, the coolers, the transportation and everything. And we went to one of the villages, and there is this very small girl, literally, Doctora. And when you see her, you would never say she's more than 3 years. And I looked, and he asked her, "Where's your school?" And she take us, "Where's the clinic?" She takes, and I looked at him, and I said, "MashaAllah, she's very smart. She's very smart." And he looked, and he smiled in a very sneaky way. And I looked at him, and then I told him, "Why you're smiling?" And he said, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Yes, of course I'm serious. She's very young." And he, "Oh yeah, so how old do you think she is?" And I said, 3 years. Ellie, she's 9.
Wow.
And here was the shock. And I said, "What?" He said, "Yes, she's stunned. She's small, even her brain." So they have a tradition, and this is a belief. Women, when they get pregnant, they start eating only sticky rice, spicy sauce, and soy sauce and salt, till she gives birth. And then 2 years afterwards, she's feeding her kid. This is the only thing that she eats. So the kids, from a nutrition perspective, they don't have all the vitamins. So literally 50% from the brain that we have as natural, normal humans, they have it even from size perspective. And what kills me, that I talked to a mother who's a teacher in the school, and I talked to her. I told her, "How you're doing this to your kid, and you're a well-educated person." And she said, "This is our beliefs. Even though if it hurts my kids, I'll do it." And here it was the shock of my life, because they don't need vaccination. They need a completely other different type of help and support. And actually, it will take decades, not years. That was very sad for me, because the mother, she's seeing what she's doing to her kids. She knows, but because it's a belief, that's it. She can harm her kids. So can you imagine what they can do? Those kids are literally, they don't have. So that was something. It really made me think, how this is possible. It's very harsh, and it's not a mother doing, but it's the belief, and that shows that creating awareness, and as you said, the perspective, and how to talk to each other, and how to change perspective, and working on the belief itself. It's much major than any pandemic in the world.
I totally agree. I really totally agree. I just want to say, because we're really nearing the end of it, you said that being in a position like yours, deciding on projects is tough. And of course, Al Warid Philanthropy is Allahu Akbar, a huge organization with a lot of resources. But what is really important, I think, and I think you succeeded in this, is that in spite of your position and your status, in spite of the fact that you are leading this organization, mashallah, you are very simple and modest, and you talk with your heart. And I just wanted to say this because I wanted to say it when I met you in Cairo, but I want to say it now. So saying that, and at the end of our talk, we have a couple of minutes, do you agree with us? I just had to say this because I had to, but I also want to ask you, given all your experience and you work with women, do you agree with our measurements in the WISE movement? And will you join us in the WISE movement? I mean, do you agree that we have to convince everybody in the ecosystem that when we judge women's projects and women social entrepreneurs, we have to think of the scale up, as you said, which really what happened in Saudi Arabia. It was a scale up, a scale out and scale deep, because the belief can affect people negatively. But if we change people's mindset in one way or the other, many people can be saved and kids can be a little, healthier. Do you believe in this? And what would you advise us to do? Would you be a member of our movement? This is just a member of the movement to encourage other young Saudi girls and young women and other women to be part of the movement.
I believe, Doctor, you articulated it very well. I think this is what's needed. So how you segmented it, it's actually, I like true and honest thing. How you're gonna do your impact, you need to put your mind the 3 phases, what you said. It's very important. At the end of the day, talking from the heart, it reflects that you care about people from different perspective, which what you just said, from perspective of up and deep, and what's the last one? Sorry, which is the numbers.
Out and deep.
Yeah, out and deep. Yes. So I believe in, if you started with scaling up, it's very important. The mentality, the beliefs, which is deep, is very important. And after that, the impact, which is the number. That's the most important. This is what we do. We have a return on investment, but return investment on people. So at the end of the day, in our project, and I believe we talked about that while we were in Egypt, we don't do a hit and run situation in the foundation. If you want to change and you want to impact people, you need to stay with them from 3 to up to 10 years to measure your success and to measure how for me to come and enter and I tell you, know what, let's do a change maker project. And yalla, hit and run 1 year, yalla, let's go. No, we don't do this. And that's why maybe me and my team, you would see that, you would feel that you know us from long ago, because it's not a job for us. This is a belief. And this is a cause. And this is, I think, we spend here in the office more than we spend our family willingly and happily. Because we really have an impact. At the end of the day, His Royal Highness, and this is his perspective, he's a person who literally invested in humanity $4.4 billion. And at the end of the day, reaching this numbers is very important. At the end of the day, you have a perspective and a mentality of a businessman. And for us, yes, I want to see the return of our investment and our work and our time and energy, how we can impact more in a very subtle way, very strategic way, with a strategic partner like yourself. And that's my advice.
I think that's why we hit it off, all of us, your team, my team, we all did. I think this has been extremely insightful conversation. I think it's very important that we talked about that we are responsible as mature mothers and also in order to encourage and support and trust our children. But we also have to be change-making parents to give them also opportunities to dream and to think out of the box. We also, from your words, you talked about, yes, but also young people, believe in yourself, trust yourself, but also trust the people with experience, and let's work together to build a new world. So that's what you said. I think we also talked together, and you put it very, very brilliantly, that women should have the freedom of choice, that whether you work at home or outside, that is real work. I also, so I think these are very important insights and very good advice. I think you agreed with us that scaling up, deep, and out are all important, and this is very important for social entrepreneurs. Now, at the final words, what would you advise us at WISE, but also what would you advise women and organizations working in the Arab world and the world?
I would advise each and every woman, do not listen to any criticism from a person who failed on the subject that you're asking about. And believe in yourself, and whoever looked at you in a way you don't have to clarify yourself. Just concentrate on yourself, believe in yourself, and be a good person. I believe women are essential for paving the way for the next generation. I believe there is a lot of opportunity. Us in Saudi Arabia, I think we're in our hardest exam. Now we're facing a lot. We supposed to succeed all the way, so there is no excuse no more. So we need to be smart and to work hard and to grab the opportunity. And I want to thank you very much, Doctor, and you're doing an amazing job. And we're very honored to collaborate with you and honored to be here with you today. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have had a great time. I am really honored. All of us are honored that you were with us. And inshallah, we hear more and more success with Al Walid Philanthropies and your leading role there. Thank you very much. ربنا يخليك يا